pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Luis Galindo,
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan,
Present.
Councilmember Miguel Villalpando,
Present.
Councilmember Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilmember Lorena Delgadillo.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on, call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council? We have no one. Gonna move on to proclamations. We have three. The first one is National Cities, Towns and Villages Week, month.
Whereas the National League of Cities was founded in 1924 in Lawrence, Kansas, as the American Municipal Association by state municipal leagues, seeking more coordination and national representation as cities, towns, and villages expanded rapidly. Whereas the nonpartisan National League of Cities is the oldest and largest organization representing municipal governments throughout the United States, representing the interest of more than 19,000 cities, towns, and villages across the country. Whereas the National League of Cities works in partnership with 49 states, state municipal leagues across the country to strengthen local leadership, drive innovation, and influence the federal policies that impact local programs and operations. Whereas, as the voice of cities, towns, and villages in Washington, D.C., the National League of Cities that successfully championed federal legislative solutions that support municipalities and has worked closely with Congress and the executive branch to educate policymakers on the realities of local implementation. Whereas local governments are the bedrock of American democracy, providing 336 million residents with the most accountable, responsive, inclusive, ethical, and transparent government in the world. Whereas from the nation's smallest villages to its largest cities, America's local governments have been essential in transforming the United States of America into the greatest, most influential nation in world history. Whereas the City of Somerton was first incorporated in 1918 and is proudly served today by Mayor Gerardo Anaya, Vice Mayor Luis Galindo, Council members Jesus Roldan, Miguel Villalpando, Marta Gonzalez, Juan Castillo, and Lorena Delgadillo, and a municipal workforce of 160 dedicated public servants. Now, therefore, I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, hereby proclaims May 2024 as National Cities, Towns, and Villages Month in celebration of America's local governments and the National League of Cities Historic Centennial Anniversary.
So I'm gonna invite council and staff to come in and take a picture with the proclamation. Here or Council Mitchell? Here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mejor no vente. No, párate.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Un lado de cariño, entonces. Qué gacho. Hay un guión. Javier, que lo hubieras atrás, Javier. La aventaste en un lado de Galindo.
Second proclamation is Municipal Clerks Week.
The office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the city's citizens and local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, and county and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize that accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, do recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2024 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Andrea Moreno, to all the professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Invite Andrea and Louis to come with the council. We'll get to a picture. We have another proclamation. This one, Building Safety Month.
Whereas the City of Somerton is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role of our homes, buildings, infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern buildings codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Mission Possible, the theme for Building Safety Month 2024, encourages all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas Each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Gerardo Anaya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join us and participate as we participate in Building Safety Month activities.
Mayor, we have our Community Development Director has something in recognition for all mayor and council to take a picture.
Mayor and Council, thank you so much for approving the proclamation for Building Safety Month. Building Safety Month is celebrated each May of the year, and we observe the importance of the building codes and everyone involved in the construction industry. This month, we have several events planned to celebrate Building Safety Month. Next Monday, we're going to be touring the new high school gym. I'll be inviting each of you to participate in this event. We're going to have a building safety tailgate during Public Works exhibition in about 2 weeks. We're going to be having a contractor forum this year as well as part of Building Safety Month, and a building safety conclusion party at the end of the month. And you're more than welcome to attend. We would be honored if you could join us, and I will be sending you the invitations for the day. But today I brought you a little gift for Building Safety Month.
It's not tea, so.
I know you all like tea. But in order for you to join us in celebrating Building Safety Month.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you so much.
And Councilmember Villalpando, yours was waiting for you at your spot.
I'll save it for him.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Saul.
Thank you, Saul. Appreciate it.
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
Come and take a picture with our community development.
We're admiring our gift.
I'm gonna take my gift.
Raul, if you can come up, please. Yamilet.
Thank you. Want to keep this? Yeah. Thank you very much, Mayor.
We're gonna move on to consent agenda. We have 3 items: approval of resolution number 2024-008, approval of resolution number 2024-009, and approval of lease agreement with Dell Outdoor Advertising. Does any member of council want to remove an item from consent agenda?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
item number 3, please.
item number 3, okay, item number 3 is removed. Is there a motion for the first 2 items?
So moved.
Second.
So motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead, Councilman Villalpando.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess my question would be directed towards legal because that particular billboard, it was pre-existing, and we first bought it. We honored the current contract, but since the current contract is now expired, shouldn't we have done like an RFP for that particular signage instead of entering into contract, again, knowingly that it was carried in a non-competitive manner?
Mr. Villalpando, thank you. When the city obtained that property, we filed an eminent domain case against the landlord. I mean, the previous owner. Thereafter, there was a straight sale. The billboard and that contract came with the land, and so we honored it with the current advertising company. The contract itself has a clause for renewal, so we're simply honoring that. They own the billboard, they own all the equipment, and it's a method for the city to, I know there's concerns about non-competitiveness, but again, they've come to us to continue leasing the standard. We didn't put it out there, and we're not denying any other entity to come forward to see if they want to advertise in that area. So it's entirely up to you to. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. But yeah, that's my concern though, is I know the first time around that we did it because it was a pre-existing condition inside that property. But now that the contract has expired, there's also language in there that we could opt out, which in order to make it competitive to others, I mean, it might be wise for us to put it out to bid. But since these guys already have their billboard, they're more likely going to be the favorites to win. But again, it's because I think that it conflicts with our procurement process. And so that's why I'm requesting clarification whether it is or isn't, because again, it's not a sole source.
Well, in these cases, we treat it as like other properties. It's the grandfathered in. I mean, I believe the sign, and I'd have to refer to staff, the sign might not, I don't know if it's code compliant or not, but at least it's already, I don't know if it might not be allowed there on Main Street, but again, it's grandfathered in and it's allowed, and we think we're honoring the same terms as the previous owner.
Councilmember, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and the reason that we allowed it is because it's our property. Again, if it was if the property owners remained the same, then yes, I could make a case and say, you know what, yes, it's grandfathered in. But we bought it. We're held under a whole different set of rules than any private owner, and so that's why I'm trying to make sure that from the legal point of view that we're covered and we're not violating our own procurement policy, because if we would, my concern is also that we could set a precedence.
Okay, well, I might not have the answer right now, Councilman. If you wish, we can table the item and I can get you an answer before the next council meeting, if that assists you also in reaching a decision today.
Mayor, if I may? Go ahead, Councilman.
No, I just wanted to thank legal. I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Our Community Development Director, could you give us if a sign would be grandfathered in, or if that would fit if a new sign was requested?
Mayor and council, the sign is considered fully compliant with our zoning and building codes as of right now. So in essence, yeah, it would be in terms of zoning and building safety, yes, grandfathered in.
Saul, could you explain to the mayor and council if that would go away, would there be another sign allowed to be put up?
Yes, mayor and council, as long as the city remains the owner of that property, that sign could be replaced or demolished and reinstalled. However, if a third party obtains ownership of the property, they would not be allowed to build a new sign. And that's because we have a provision in our zoning code that only the city can install offsite signage, which includes billboards. So as long as we own it, the city can reinstall, put a new one, enlarge it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to table this item or just direction to table?
Direction.
Okay, so Table? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we have one presentation. It's a Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation mid-year report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to see everybody tonight. Thank you for taking the time. So I come bearing gifts as well, our strategic plan. They're not as cool as the gifts you got from Saul, but I think they're a little bit interesting. Within there, you're gonna find our strategic plan talks about attracting high wage job growth. You're gonna find talks about creating a global economic presence. You're gonna find talks about us trying to help improve and provide assistance to all of our stakeholders locally. But ultimately, it's just fancy words and fancy pictures on a piece of booklet. And so for me, I wanted to take time tonight, again, to talk about what we're doing on behalf of the city of Somerton. Economic development, as I mentioned before, is different in every community. And so tonight, we're going to talk about what we're doing up to this point with your economic development department, with your community development department, and also with your other staff members. Here you can see some of our core focuses are on workforce development, business retention and expansion, corporate health. We do a lot of work with Regional Center of Border Health, with Councilwoman Delgadillo and her group, along with, along with Amanda Aguirre as well. Sorry, I lost track of her name for a moment. And so within that, our focus is about finding ways that we can help assist the city with your retail attraction, with your hospitality attraction, and with your other effort to create a live, work, play community. Next slide, please. And tonight, we're going to focus on the one program that we've invested a lot of money in, and we've spent a lot of time with my staff members generating reports, generating data to help assist Jasmine go out there and recruit the right companies you want in your backyard. The group is called Placer AI. It is a consumer spending data tracking software program, highly sophisticated, tracks individuals, which is a bit scary, by their phones, but it's able to tell where people are going to spend money and when they're coming back at home to determine what your community is doing and how essentially you can benefit from that to tell companies your spending power and your overall consumer strength. Next slide, please. Within there, as you can see, there's a very alarming number or a very present number here. When we talk about the city of Somerton, we're looking at a young community. We're looking at a community that is growing in household income. But the one area I think everyone can directly go to and realize is that the population numbers Placer AI comes up with are a lot larger than the official statistics that you have. I think for a long time we've known that Somerton is a lot larger than what the actual official statistics say. But Placer AI has actually put a number on that, and they put it almost at double your population. And so when Jasmine is going out there promoting your community to retail businesses, to hospitality groups, she's able to talk about the fact that the spending power of the city of Somerton is far greater than the 15,000 people that are officially on your population base. And this actual data is recognized as a third-party software that is adopted by companies around the world. All the major retailers use this in their research and investigation. And along with that, they also know this actual software as information that can be proven. And so we're very excited that we can use this data to support Jasmine as she goes out and tries to recruit different industry bases. And I also dedicate my staff to providing support to her any way we can. Because ultimately, Jasmine is one person and she's doing a phenomenal job, but she needs support. And so my staff of 6 people have specialty in marketing, have specialty in research and data. And so we provide that additional resource to her, which is why partly you invest in us, right? To leverage resources of what we collect from all of our cities and help in our entire region. Next slide, please. Here you can see very directly the tracking of a local retail spend. This is part of what the program does. It's able to draw into what your folks here are locally spending. And then next slide, where they have to go to spend the rest of their money. And this is a real telling point, because when you're going to a grocery store or you go into a retail development and saying, we think that our community could support X in our community, they have to see, well, where are your folks going right now to get those different services and support? And this data right here tracks it by geographically where Somerton residents right now are going. You can see over 230,000 visits on a monthly basis are leaving Somerton, along with the fact that retail visits are over 216,000. And the amount of money that your residents are spending outside this community, to me, is very telling and very compelling for a developer to recognize that the city of Somerton could stand up another retail, another restaurant, another supermarket, or even a hotel as well. So this is the data points that we're using along with Jasmine to really tell your story in a more clear light. Next slide, please. along with that, when we talk about retail leakage, that kind of goes back to the last slide where your residents are going to spend their money on a daily basis. And so it goes down to the granular level of actual how much money is being spent, how much time they're spending at these different establishments, and ultimately the money that should be coming back to City of Somerton is having to go to other locations. Next slide, please. And the same thing for food establishments. Fun fact, do you know that the City of Somerton Jack in the Box is the 5th most visited Jack in the Box in America? And the 4 cities above it are all a lot larger cities, And so that's the kind of stories that we tell or that we're helping Jasmine to tell with retailers, because when we're talking about why Somerton deserves more, should have more, this is now the data to back it up. Next slide, please. And this is part of it here. It breaks it down. Jack in the Box is very popular here, a lot more popular than Burger King. But at the end of the day, it still is a very much a telling story of why we can help Jasmine and her group, attract new businesses here. Next slide, please. In addition to the Place Your AI information, my staff is spending a lot of time with your staff locally to help provide marketing collaborations, marketing audits to Jasmine and her staff, providing different reports as she needs them. We have your properties on our website, which gets a lot of traffic. Over 2,000 people come to our website monthly to look at different properties. So we're ensuring that your properties are there to promote, your new shopping districts. Along with that, we are providing contacts to Jasmine's department to go out and try to market to retailers, site selectors that represent retailers, and brokers that represent retailers. And then lastly, we're also using our in-house staff of grant writers and grant experts to identify new opportunities for City of Somerton. And if there's an opportunity that does work well for the city, we will provide staff support in there. I have a professional grant writer on staff. We have interns working for us. And so we have an army of individuals that like data, know how to use data, and can certainly put it together to help support the City of Somerton going forward. So with that, it's a very quick snapshot of what we're doing to this point. I will be coming back in a few months to talk about our year-end results. But I just want you to know what we're doing on behalf of your city right now, and hopefully you can see some of the benefits in investing in GYDC.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good information. This is something that, we need to put it out there and hopefully.
I'm excited for where your city is going, Mayor. I really am. Like we've talked about with multiple staff members and Louis as well, creating that live, work, play community, creating a walkable community. Those are all things that people are looking for, whether it be families or employers or individuals in between. And so I commend each of you for really setting forward a vision for Somerton that I think is going to be very unique in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, too.
We have a public hearing to minor general plan amendment case PLN 24-0038 and rezoning case PLN 24-00039. Is there a motion to open public hearing?
So moved, Mayor.
So motion by Vice Mayor Galindo,
Second.
second by Councilman Roldan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The item before you on the agenda is the public hearing related to minor general plan amendment case PLN 24-038 and rezoning case PLN 24-039. A set of requests by Adrian Vega on behalf of Yepco LLC to amend the general plan land use designation of APN 211-0405, a 7.5 acre more or less parcel from commercial to high density residential, and to rezone the parcel from C2 with infill incentive overlay to R3 with infill incentive overlay. Mayor and Council, the purpose of these sets of requests is to accommodate a proposed new apartment complex. The apartment complex would be located on the southwest corner of Main Street and Parkview Avenue. Could you pull up the location map, Andrea, please? Right there, a little bit more now. So Mayor and Council, this is the site we are, the subject site of the two requests. The proposal is for a new apartment complex ranging from 120 to 150 units on a 7.5 acre site directly located on Main Street. Although the site would not be accessible from Main Street, it would be accessible off of Parkview Avenue and on Eucalyptus Street. I'd like to show you some elevations that have been submitted by the applicant as part of the request. If you could scroll down, Andrea, please. Keep going. Oh. Right there. Thank you. The submitted conceptual elevations show a multi-story development that is in compliance with the all the design and architectural requirements of the zoning ordinance, showing different colors, textures, materials, architectural dimensions. So this is more or less the view that you would get from Main Street, looking south at the project. Modern looking complex, similar to what you find the city of Yuma and other larger municipalities. Andrea, could you go up one, please? This is a conceptual site plan submitted by the applicant. Zoom out a little bit, please. Showing the general location and layout of this. I've been in discussion with the applicant and their engineer, and this is more than likely going to change. This isn't going to be the final site plan, simply because this was submitted just to show you how you could fit that many units on a 7 acre site. But this gives you a sense of the space, what's there. There's going to be ample parking provided. There's going to be the all the units, on-site retention, and as I mentioned, the 2 driveways, one off of Parkview Avenue and one off of Eucalyptus Street. Aside from all the on-site amenities and improvements, the applicant will be required to develop the pathway along Main Street as required by the zoning ordinance. So we're going to get a section of pathway there along their entire frontage, which will eventually connect to the existing pathway that currently terminates at Braby T. Soto Elementary School. When the apartment complex next door develops, that's when that pathway will be fully linked. But for now, the applicant would be required this section here. Any questions so far from Mayor or Council?
Any questions or comments? Anybody from the public here want to comment? No one?
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I have some questions, but I don't know if you want me to wait for now or when it's,
Yeah, we'll wait until the item in
Okay.
the agenda. Right.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Aside from what I've presented so far, we have other items here that we can discuss. For example, the open space I've also discussed with the applicant too, and they would be interested in perhaps doing an alternative kind of in lieu deal, as similar to what we offered to 1898 and the other developments, where instead of on-site open space, it could be provided elsewhere, such as at a park, or all depends on their final design, which is to be determined at a future date. And excuse me for a second. Could you go up, Andrea, to the staff report, please? A little bit more. Oh, not that much. A little bit more down. A little bit more down. Right there. So this was taken to the Planning and Zoning Commission on April 22nd, I believe, was the meeting. I believe I had it in this section, but the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval with conditions of the project, which is also staff's recommendation. If it's okay with Mayor and Council, I can present the conditions of approval proposed by staff.
Yes, go ahead.
Could you go down to Exhibit A, Andrea? So these are just the conditions of approval that'll be that would be added to this zoning case. This is just the public hearing, but when we get to the action item, this would be staff's recommendation with approval with conditions. And the conditions are as follows. Number one is the conditions listed below are in addition to city codes, rules, fees, and regulations that are applicable to this action. Number two is the developer/owner shall upgrade and improve any multi-use pathway along Somerton roadways adjacent to the proposed apartment complex as required by adopted City of Somerton pathway standards/zoning ordinance. Number three, the owner/developer shall dedicate any and all required additional right-of-way along the south side of the property. That's actually the other point I wanted to cover. The south side of the property is Eucalyptus Street, currently a half street, so they would be dedicating right-of-way and developing that section of right-of-way adjacent to the project. Number four, the owner/developer shall connect on-site retention basin to existing storm drain system on Main Street or submit a percolation test proving ability of retention basin to percolate into the ground. And number five is the conditions listed above shall be completed within 2 years of the effective date of the rezoning ordinance. So they would have 2 years to develop this complex after the effective date of the ordinance.
Any questions or comments? Anybody from the public? There's no one. You done?
I am done, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Is there a motion to close public hearing? A motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez, second by Councilwoman Delgadillo. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And we have another public hearing, which we're gonna table it to for further meeting. You had some comments on that, Louis?
Yes, Mayor, we'd like to table it to June 4th and 18th. We're working on the home rule, and just to let Mayor and Council know that we'll be posting that this Friday and next Friday for that public hearing.
Okay, we're gonna move on to new business. Item number one, discussion of possible action related to minor general plan amendment case PLN 24-0038 and rezoning case PLN 24-00039.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, the item before you on the agenda are the action items related to the public hearing, which just concluded, related to minor general plan amendment case PLN 24-038 and rezoning case PLN 039. The set of requests by Adrian Vega to allow the new, to change the land use designation and to rezone APN 211-0405 from C2, commercial to high density residential, and from C2 with infill incentive overlay to R3 with infill incentive overlay. Mayor and Council, if there are no further questions related to these two cases, staff's recommendation is to approve minor general plan amendment case PLN 24-038 and rezoning case PLN 24-039 with the same conditions that we just covered in the public hearing.
Councilman Villalpando had a comment.
Thank you, Mayor. What are the overlay incentives that you're referring to, Saul? Is there something specific that they've requested that's different from someone that might be doing this project in the area where the incentive overlay is not provided?
Thank you for the question, Councilman Villalpando. The infill incentive overlay designation is something that the property currently has. So they have their base zoning, which is C2 with the infill incentive overlay. The request is for the zoning now to be R3 with infill incentive overlay. So they would just be carrying over the infill incentive overlay designation to the new C2 zoning.
Yes, Saul, let me interrupt you. Sorry about that. But why are they requesting something different though? That if this project was built outside of that area?
Councilmember
That's,
Villalpando,
that's my question.
correct, yeah, thank you. The only two incentives that we've discussed with the applicant, well, actually, we've discussed all of them, but because this is, it is in the infill incentive overlay, but it's a larger project and it's not a traditional infill, but it is eligible for some incentives. The only two that we've discussed are a parking reduction incentive, which is permitted through the infill incentive overlay, and also a landscaping adjustment, which puts more emphasis on trees rather than shrubs. So they would be required a larger amount of trees instead of shrubs and ground cover and whatnot. So those are the only two incentives that we've discussed with the applicant.
Okay, but usually the parking, it's done, it's because there's limitations. Right now, there's not really limitations because of there's nothing on that parcel. So why would you go away from the normal requirements of parking if the way we adopted things, it said it's not guaranteeing them guaranteeing anything. And I'm actually looking at the pamphlet that we have, and it says city and town may grant the following incentives, and the key word is may, to all properties within the district, which is expedited zoning, rezoning procedures, expedited processing and plan proposal, waivers of municipal fees for development, and then relief from development standards, which that's probably what you're citing, but it just says may. It's not a given. And now that households are having more vehicles in their households, why would you go away from that and create a potentially a bigger problem?
Councilmember Villalpando, it sounds like what you mentioned there, it sounds like that's from the ARS maybe, or perhaps a more general description of an infill incentive district.
Yeah.
The what we're going off of here in our report is the City of Somerton adopted infill incentive overlay plan that was adopted in 2020. One of the incentives specifically calls for, what it says is the city, you're right, it says
It says may.
as needed basis. It doesn't say that they're immediately eligible for we'll call it 40% parking reduction. The way our incentive is written is that we may grant up to a 50% reduction in parking. Now it's really case by case. For this project, the way it would work is they would be required to provide as much parking as they can, not to exceed, for an amount not to be less than 1 space per unit. I've been in conversations with the applicant, and they're looking at around 200 parking spaces right now. I have yet to see the site plan, but that was just a phone conversation we held, around 200 parking spaces, and which would equate to roughly almost 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit, which is our code minimum. So they're not going to be anywhere close to that 50% allowed by the infill incentive overlay. And again, the purpose of this incentive is to do just that, to incentivize development. This would allow a larger number of units, which is sought after, I think, right now by the city to increase our housing stock. But the bottom line for us as staff, when we're doing the analysis, the most important thing is if we have this tool right now. We have the infill incentive overlay plan. It's already been adopted. The developer is simply seeking to use our own adopted plan as part of this project.
Yeah, and I understand that, Saul, but the key word right there, it says may. And again, the incentive overlay was the primary focus of the incentive overlay, especially in the older parts of town, was to be able to allow and facilitate some projects. But again, back to my question, you're going to have 1.5, an average of 1.5 parking spaces per per unit, how many of those units are gonna be 2 bedrooms? Are there any 3 bedrooms? I mean, more likely, 2 bedrooms probably means more 2 vehicles, especially if there's two working adults. I mean, and that's the thing that you have to be careful, and that's the only thing that I'm saying is that you have to be very careful when you apply these incentives, because they're trying to maximize their profit by reducing open space, by reducing parking lots so they could add more apartments. But is that going to create a mess off-site, which is parking on the side of the streets, maybe possibly parking where they're not supposed to? And so when you take on this type of project, you have to be careful, especially since I think we have like 2 apartment complexes, maybe 3. And so that's all I'm trying to say is that just because the incentives is there, they're not guaranteed. We never guaranteed them. All it says is may.
Very, very fair point, Councilmember Villalpando. We will, if approved, and once the site plan, this is actually one thing we're working out with the developer and the engineer, is that they're going to be submitting a site plan prior to their submitting for the building permit. And they're actually very close to turning that in. So we're going to take a look at that in depth, just to make sure that it's something reasonable too. We don't want to set something up that's going to be non-functional either. Believe me, we don't.
No, I agree.
We want to make sure it works.
I agree with you 100%, because I tell you right now, in the subdivision that I live in, they're using the entire front yard. In some houses, they're using the entire front yard as parking. And so if you see it elsewhere, I mean, by no means do I think that this project is going to be immune to the same issues.
We'll make sure it's as close to the code minimum as possible. But if we have to grant them a small incentive of that parking reduction, we have the tools right now for that to work, and the staff believes that would be acceptable. But again, we're going to make sure, we're going to look at it through a magnifying glass when it comes in.
Yeah, if anything, I would probably look at reducing the open space and adding more parking, which would be beneficial to them. I mean, if that's something that they want to do, then I mean, at least I would be in favor of that. But reduce the open space so they could create more apartments, and that's a tough pill to swallow when you're already reducing the parking.
So talk to the developer and see what you come up and present it to council again. Remember, it's one council member. It's not direction. Just see what it comes. If it's maybe there's no additional parking variance required or the reduction. So we'll see. Bring it. This is for the rezoning, right? No, this is for the minor general plan amendment and rezoning, right? So there's still room for us to discuss that. Those other.
Mayor, yes, we still have the plan review left. That would be the last step before issuing a building permit.
Yeah.
So there's still a chance for staff to review this. This would be, as the condition number 1 states, subject to all city codes. So whatever the code says, that would be the requirement. And if, say, they need a 10% parking reduction in order to make the project more financially feasible, the tools are there in the infill incentive overlay plan. It's been.
But like Councilman Villalpando says, the spirit of it was to incentivize, to redevelop those areas, those which are considered, the older part. So this is new development in essence. Yeah, it has an infill overlay. So, it's, gives us those tools, but then again.
We'll work.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor. We'll work with them very closely to ensure that the project is meeting code. And again, we're working actively with the engineer right now. Staff is.
Any other questions or comments?
Just as long as we're meeting code, should be good to go.
If there's no further questions, Mayor and Council, staff's recommended motions are listed below. They would be at your,
Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
So motion by Councilman Roldan,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo, in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So two motions, right?
motions, one for the general plan amendment and
Is there a motion to approve rezoning case PLN -0039?
So moved, Mayor. Second.
Motion by Councilman Roldan, second by Councilman Castillo, in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, thank you, Council.
Item number 2, discussion of possible action to reappoint Candelario Rangel, Maribel Marin to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, the item before you on the agenda is a discussion and possible action to reappoint Candelario Rangel and Maribel Marin to the Somerton Planning and Zoning Commission. On March 13th, Commissioner Rangel submitted a letter of interest to community development staff asking to be reappointed to the Somerton Planning and Zoning Commission for an additional term of 2 years. Mr. Rangel has served on the commission for 6 years. And at the last meeting, he was actually appointed as vice chairman of the commission. So he wishes to continue on the commission. He's been a good member, very reliable attendance, only has missed, I believe, 2 meetings in the last term. I don't think he's here tonight. I don't think he was able to make it, unfortunately. But he's one of the most reliable members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. As well as Commissioner Maribel Marin. She submitted her letter of interest to be reappointed on March 12th. She has served on the commission for 3 years. And as Commissioner Rangel, she's also a very active and reliable member of the commission. I can't think of a single meeting she's missed actually in the last term. And she's asking to continue on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So if there's no further questions, staff's recommendation is to reappoint both of them to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an additional term.
Any questions or comments?
Mayor, I would like to get a speech for Maribel Marin. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to appoint Candelario Rangel and Maribel Marin to the Somerton Planning and Zoning Commission.
There's a motion by Councilman Roldan. Second by Councilwoman Delgadillo, in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Maribel.
Thank you. Speech.
Speech? No? We're gonna go to item number 4 and then item number 3. Item number 4, discussion of possible action to approve resolution number 2024-010.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, this is resolution number 2024-010. This is the resolution which amends resolution number 2020-009, formalizing the land use change, the land use designation for the property described in the public hearing and then in the action item for the apartment complex and generally located at the southwest corner of Main Street and Parkview Avenue. If there are no further questions, staff would recommend to approve resolution 2024-010.
The motion?
So moved, Mayor.
A motion by Vice Mayor Galindo, second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Gonna move on. Well, move back to item number 3, discussion of possible action to approve first reading by title only of ordinance number 2024-002. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
So motion by Councilman Villalpando. Second by Vice Mayor Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, Council, this item is the ordinance approving the rezoning for the apartment complex case that we heard in the public hearing and in the subsequent action item. Does the approval of your motion allow me to do the first reading now, or is? Very good. Well, Mayor and Council, this is ordinance number 2024-002, an ordinance of the City of Somerton, amending ordinance number 2015-002, and rezoning certain areas of the city for real property described as APN 211-04-005, a 7.58 acre parcel, more or less, from C2 with infill incentive overlay to R3 with infill incentive overlay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve establishment of Somerton Adopt a Street program.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, the item before you on the agenda is a request by staff to create the Somerton Adopt a Street program. Somerton right now does not have an Adopt a Street program. Adopt a Street programs allows select groups and organizations to clean and maintain a section of a collector or arterial roadway within the city limits as part of a street adoption commitment. The respective adopting party is recognized on a street installed by the city on a corresponding section of the right-of-way, which is maintained by said group or organization. So this is a neat program in which organizations such as churches, nonprofits, businesses can adopt a street, and they themselves clean that section of the right-of-way no less than 3 times a year in exchange for a recognition on a plaque. I'd like to, we can go over the guidelines of the program. They're very, very brief, not too lengthy, if that's something that council would like to see.
Go ahead.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Now, thank you, Mayor. Saul, now, does this permit like individuals to do such thing as well? Because, and the reason I'm asking, it's a little bit of a selfish question. My dad used to walk a particular section, and when I first saw it in the agenda, I've always thought about adopting that particular section that he walked almost every single day for years. And so if it's only organizations, can we or should we consider individuals?
Councilmember Villalpando, that is completely up to the council. We are creating this program for the first time. These are the proposed guidelines that what we have prepared here for you closely mirrors ADOT and City of Yuma's regulations for Adopt a Street. That doesn't mean that we can't make it more Somerton, but the standard is only for organizations, businesses, nonprofits, those kinds of, if you could scroll down a little bit, Andre, actually, we can actually cover that. A little bit more eligibility. So the following groups and organizations are eligible to adopt a street: businesses, schools, churches, families, social clubs, Rotary clubs, and nonprofit organizations. Any group not listed shall require the approval of the Somerton City Council. So with that language, it would allow the city council to permit a not listed group, such as an individual, to adopt a street.
Families, right?
I think under families, it would fall under families, so.
Or families, correct. That's, yeah, it's right there.
Thank you. Answers my question.
Is there really standard requirements? This is one I really want to touch on, though, that volunteers shall be 18 years of age or older to participate. Minors under 18 shall require the supervision of 1 adult, no less than 21 years of age per 10 minors, and minors under the age of 12 shall not participate under any circumstance. That is directly what ADOT recommends, just because having anyone younger than 12 on the right-of-way, especially if it's an arterial or collector road, it's a little bit of more risk. But again, this is what we are proposing. If there's any questions by council, I am available.
Any questions or comments? No. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion here to approve the establishment of the Somerton Adopt a Street program.
So motion by Councilman Roldan,
Second.
second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I think that's it.
One more, Saul, one more.
Can you read the next item? Not- Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve American Pavement Preservation Slurry Program and striping in the amount of $87,446.31.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Charles Gutierrez, Public Works Director. Tonight, we're going to discuss the possible action to approve the American Pavement Preservation Slurry Program and striping in the amount of $87,446.31 to American Pavement and Safeline, Arizona for striping in the amount of $36,560. City of Yuma Public Works Department advertised bid number 2020-200000153 and 2020-200000158 for pavement preservation services for asphalt sealant and services. The City of Yuma awarded the contract to American Pavement Preservation for the application of the slurry seal renewable up to 5 years. In order to continue with the pavement preservation project, the City of Somerton Street staff identified segments that need these applications and wanted to proceed with the proper slurry application. Bingham Avenue, Main Street to County 17th Street, approximately 27,500 square yards. State Avenue, Main Street to Spring Street, 2,300 square yards. Federal Avenue, Main Street to Cano Street, 1,377 square yards. Cesar Chavez, Yucca Street to County 17th Street for a total square yards of type 2 slurry aggregate of 43,077 square yards at $2.03 a square yard. This includes all mobilization and traffic control. Also, Public Works requested three quotes for striping. And as of writing of this report, only Safeline has responded because American Pavement will start in 2 weeks. Staff is recommending that contracting with Safeline qualifies as an emergency under the circumstances. Safeline, Arizona, if granted, the exception will be striping the project except for Federal Avenue, Main Street to Cano Street. Public Works Streets will deliver the paint at this location. Safeline, Arizona will immediately install paint and then 30 days later, we'll install a thermoplastic. White crosswalks, stop bars, yellow center lines, bike arrows, bike lanes, mini skips will be implemented during the course of this project, which includes all mobilization, layouts, and traffic control. American Pavement proposal schedule will start May 20th with Safeline following immediately to paint. Andrea, can we go to the pictures real quick? So Mayor, what I've done here is I've just came up with some pictures real quick, and you can see up on the top one on State Avenue right here on the side right here from Main Street to Spring. Major cracks up to 2 inches longitudinal, some cracks going up as deep as 2 inches. You can see right there, we have some concrete right here in front of the Housing America side. Once we finish slurrying everything over the next 6 months, Street Division will be looking at these concrete pieces like this, and we'll be replacing them, fixing them up to make them look presentable. There's some more cracks along State. Additional ones, there's some holes, there's some big stuff right there. We want to take care of this. We understand that there is a project going to happen from all of State in the future, but we want to protect this one here because this is a high profile, a lot of events in this area. So we want to make this one look as presentable as possible. And also we want this to also be preserved as long as we can until we can get the construction moving forward on State itself. On Federal Avenue, this is right there in front of Elvira's, just from Cano to Main Street. Again, this is longitudinal cracks, huge cracks, some of them up to 3 inches deep. We will be going back in some areas, repairing the sidewalk with coal patch prior to everything, crack sealing, doing anything that we can. If we have to grind, we'll do grinding and to level off as much as we can. Again, you can see right here on this manhole, the concrete work, we're going to come back and take care of this in the future here within the next 6 months. On Cesar Chavez, we all know that Cesar Chavez from the Yucca to County 17th Street is in serious condition. We're going to work on this one here. This is going to be put into a CIP in the future to redo the whole thing. However, at this time right now, we feel it's necessary to do some type of a slurry seal to protect it as long as we can until we get to that point where we can actually come back and do a complete rebuild of this street here. Huge cracks, holes, everything like that. Every time it rains, anything like that, we're having major problems with it, having to fill it up with a cold patch all the time. You can see right there, there's some serious bad ruddy or bad alligator cracks and everything like that. On Bingham Avenue, Main Street to County 17th Street, we all know that there was an issue on this and only half of it got taken care of. Some of the paint on it is wearing out really fast. There's a lot of cracks. You can see that we've already started finishing up the crack seal on that location right there, all of Bingham. And this is one of the sections right here at the very end right there. You can see on the top picture up there. That's where the pathway is up there at the very end by County 17th Street. We've actually put a sleeve up there. So this is going to be covered with a slurry seal. It'll protect it and we'll be good to go right there on that. One of the things I really wanted to talk about was the striping. If you look right here on this bottom picture, I know it's kind of difficult to see. This is an overall Google Earth picture. You can see striping on Main Street very, very prominent. However, as you start to come down Bingham, it just starts to deteriorate. It goes fast. We've already painted in some areas 2 times since I've been here in almost a year. And be honest with you, it's taken away from the street division, having to spend a couple days at a time. Paint is costly, so we decided this year in talking with the contractors, talking with the City of Yuma Public Works, we felt that it was better and our best benefit to put down the standard paint first and then go to a thermoplastic. That way it would give us a better longevity of paint life. It's not going to wear out as fast and you'll be able to see the lines on there much easier. I've had some comment about bike lanes and stuff like that. It was my mistake. We will be looking at Bingham extending the bike lanes throughout the rest of the year, extending that bike lane all the way down to. We didn't catch it on this one here when I went to John at Safeline, and henceforth, but we will take care of that. However, at this point here, if there's any questions, Mayor, I'll be more than happy to entertain anything.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
Mayor, I have one question. What's the cost for the striping, Charles?
Councilmember Villapando, can you say that again, please?
What was the cost for the striping portion?
$36,560.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion? A motion by
So move.
Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilman Villalpando. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Louis.
Motion carries. Item number 7, discussion of possible action to select Capital Financial as a fiscal year 2024-25 health benefits broker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Armando Leon, HR Manager for the City of Somerton. Before you, we have the item of, actually, it was 2 phases. One phase of this project was to select a broker for our benefit plans. The second phase was to select the benefit plans that we'll be implementing for the next fiscal year. During the process of selecting the broker, we went to RFP in November of 2023. And subsequent to that, after the first round of reviews, Health Insurance Committee felt that it wasn't sufficient to make a selection. So we put it up for bid again and then ended up with about 6 or 7 brokers that were contending for their services for the city. The 4 finalists were brought in and did presentations. So the Health Insurance Committee vetted those finalists and arrived at a recommendation of selecting Capital Financial or CAP5 as our broker which is the same broker that we currently have. So the recommendation from the Health Insurance Committee is to continue with that relationship. And then subsequent to that selection, the Health Insurance Committee then asked the broker that was selected, CAPI, to come up with alternative plans for the city, in addition to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So two other major plans were considered, with Aetna as one of the networks, as well as EMI with a Mexico component attached to it. After further vetting those plans, the Health Insurance Committee voted to keep the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan at the moment. That particular plan will not have any impact, no additional rate increases for the next fiscal year. So maintain the same cost neutral as what we had the previous year. And the recommendation from the Health Insurance Committee, again, is to continue with CAPI as our broker, and to keep the Blue Cross Blue Shield medical plan as our medical plan for the upcoming fiscal year. The agenda before you also puts a cap of approving this agenda with a cap of 1.3 million, not to exceed 1.3 million. We think it's going to be slightly less than that, but we want to have a little bit of a margin depending on the final Mexico plan that we select. At the moment, we still have the option of keeping the same Transwestern Mexico plan that we had in previous years. There is a very small increase in cost. But if we select a more robust Mexico plan, which are options that we're looking at, that could potentially increase the cost, but offer a better plan in Mexico network. Any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Mayor, if I may.
Councilman Villalpando, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Armando, when you guys brought in those four insurance reps, for lack of better words,
The brokers?
the brokers, yes.
Yes.
When they did their presentation, they didn't include any pricing during their
No.
presentation?
No, the brokers, the first part of selecting a broker is only the brokerage firm. At that time, the reason they can't present rates or plans themselves is because in order for them to actually go out for bid for different plans, when they reach out to Aetna Network or Blue Cross Blue Shield or any other network, they need to be the broker of record. And so somebody that's just out there shopping around can't necessarily shop for us unless they're our broker of record. So the first phase was only to select the broker, and then once we selected the broker, then subsequent to that, then we issue them a letter that they're the official broker of the city. At that point in time, they're able to shop for the specific plans.
Oh, okay.
And get rates
Got
and so forth, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. So when the broker is searching for rates, I'm assuming that rate that is given to him is not directly passed to us then?
There's a prearranged fee, and all the brokers presented whatever their cost structure is. For example, with some brokers, there's a percentage of the total cost of the benefit plans that's built into the fee that they get as a broker. Other plans had a different component, such as a fixed amount. So we looked at some brokers had a fixed amount that was associated to them providing those services. So there's different ways to negotiate that particular fee that's assigned to the broker. In the end, however it's broken down, the CAPI actually offered us two separate options. One that was a fixed amount component, where if we wanted that plan, they would tell us upfront, This is the amount that you're gonna pay per month. It's a fixed amount and we provide these services. The other is based on a percentage.
Yeah, got it.
Any other questions or comments? There a motion?
Make a motion to approve Capital Financial as the fiscal year 2024-2025 health benefits broker and select US and Mexico health insurance coverage plans for employees in the amount not to exceed $1,344,038.
Motion by Councilman Castillo,
Second, Mayor.
second by Vice Mayor Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Summer current events.
Mayor, Council. We'll have Chief Juarez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Araceli Juarez, Chief of Police. I just have two things. Just want to report that the chelada went very, very well. We had no incidents that that dispatch could record of any police or EMS calls. And then just to remind everybody that on the week of May 15 is going to be Officer Memorial Service for the fallen officers of Yuma County. We have an invitation and I sent it out to all city staff for May 15 at 7 p.m. at the PAC, which is located at the 1700 block of East 8th Street. So if you could join us, our police officers will be there. They'll be participating in the color guard. Thank you.
Parks and Rec, Mr. Jones.
Mayor and Council, James Jones, Parks and Rec. The pool and splash pad had their mainly maintenance done and the splash pads are up and running. The pool should be open by June 3rd. The Battle of Chelada took place. It was a successful turnout. We're gonna turn our attention to the 4th of July celebration on July 5th. And I want to welcome you guys and invite you guys to the Senior Center Mother's Day celebration on Friday from 10 to 12. We're looking to celebrate the moms there and make it a good time for them. Thank you.
Charles, Public Works.
Mayor, Council, Charles Gutierrez, Public Works Director. Tonight in the Streets Division, we have installed a sleeve at the Valle del Sol pathway on Bingham. Signal alarms were installed and temporary operational use on Toro and Main Street. More to come on that one. The timings will be hopefully operational by next week. In the Water Division, the professional piping system is in process of sandblasting and cleaning the inside. And then I found out tonight that at 3 o'clock in the morning, they will begin putting on the zinc coating on the tank itself. So you'll start to see the outside start to change color. According to Taylor Engineering, on the Somerton Heights Phase 2, the water outage will be tomorrow. We have already coordinated with Vanessa to advertise this, and the wastewater, we're working with Pace Engineering to resolve a logic control issue at the CPU for the plant. And that's it. Thank you.
Mayor, that's all we have.
Councilman Villalpando,
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
I was able to attend Councilmember Knight's celebration of life. It was pretty full. Very nice ceremony. I just attended the I guess the presentation, and then they had some food after at the Civic Center, but it was really nice. I didn't see anybody from staff. It would have been nice to have somebody present there, but also attended the Chelada. Thank you to staff, parks, and everybody involved. Good event, but I'll send my info to Louis. That's it. Thank you.
Councilman Castillo.
I just want to briefly inform council that we actually met earlier today, the health committee. We had a brief meeting. Just know that we're working very hard and diligently to ensure that we do get the best available coverage for our employees. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman Delgadillo.
I also attended the Chelada Fest. Thank you to James, Rodney, Valeria, and all the staff, PD, fire, everyone who was involved in this event. It wasn't well attended as it was years before, but it was great weather, and I know everybody did a great job, so thank you. I also attended the GYEDC luncheon, and the presenters gave an overview of great things in higher education that are in development for Yuma County. So I'm really excited about that. And I also, as I listened to the community development director's reports, I just would like my comment to be on the record that I support the growth of the city. But we must not forget when approving budgets about the expanding of fire, police, and public works. As the city grows, those departments need to grow as well in order to retain those staff members. But thank you very much, Saul, for that great job. That's all I have.
Councilman Roland,
I don't have nothing, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Galindo.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
On Thursday, we can have a GYDC meeting. That's our quarterly meeting that we have, or every 2 months. The Battle of the Cheladas, thank you staff for all your hard work. And I want to invite the community on Thursday at 6 to come and meet with the mayor and council at an informal gathering, and just any concerns, any comments, as are welcome to come. And just to piggyback on what Councilwoman Delgadillo said, that was one of my comments when I met with a community development director about growth, and that we need to account for the additional services, because we usually look at just the impact and impact fees and everything, but there's always an impact in services. So I requested that we should come up with some type of formula to know, as far as the additional residence development, and what that's an impact on our police and fire department and public works, because that's always, we look at the pros, but and there's a lot of pros, but we also need to start planning as far as staffing, because we're always overworked. So that's something that's a very good point. So the motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Delgadillo, second by Councilwoman Castillo, in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So we have one executive session regarding possible action of a code of ethics for city council, elected officials. So 5 minutes. And then